right, folks, today we are going to quickly talk about security in the cloud with Cloud Commander. My name is Joe Furlan, and we're going to kick off today for a quick boot camp about utilizing Cloud Commander in some security settings. We'll go ahead and start with, as always, please note, today's session is being recorded for quality control and training purposes. I cannot send out the deck, nor can I send out the recording from today's conversation. However, we will see it in the Enable You section of the Enable Me portal in the future, as this is the first time we're running the bootcamp. If we do talk about any forward-facing items today, please note I am not dev, nor am I PM, so I'm giving you folks the most accurate information I have at this point in time. But as always, schedules are subject to change as I don't control dev or PM. All right, quick introduction to myself. My name is Joe Furlan. I've been here at Enable for 7 years now. Need to update my slide. And I've held a number of roles here at Enable, ranging from channel sales to partner success management to sales engineering, as well as now head nerd. What are we going to be looking at today? Well, this one's going to be pretty quick. There are some pretty good security items inside Cloud Commander, and there's some pretty nice items coming down the road. But today we're going to focus on what we can do within the tool today. So we're going to talk a little bit about users and their permissions, both within the Cloud Commander platform, but more importantly within the Microsoft world and what we can control. We'll talk about some security and Intune items, and we'll look at some security based reporting within the tool itself, so shouldn't be here much longer than about 30 to 40 minutes. I know we have an hour set for today, but we're just not quite going to take that much time. So real quickly before we go ahead and get started on the security side of the house, as always, we will want to quickly take a look at setting up Cloud Commander. To set up Cloud Commander, just to keep you folks appraised, there's a couple items we're going to need. We will want a service account in your partner center. Service account will need global admin, as well as manages your end users as admin agent permissions within the tool, so that they can properly set up GDAP connections for us between Cloud Commander and your partner center, and then of course the partner center and your individual clientele. All right, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to log into Cloud Commander. We're going to take a look at what that's going to look like. All right, so setting up Cloud Commander, once we have that Surface account and we're going in to start our trial, we'll come to the Microsoft Access section of the tool. Here, I've already authenticated with my Surface account. What you folks will see is a nice big blue button on the right-hand side that says Authenticate. Go in, authenticate there. It'll prompt you to put in that Surface account, username, and credentials, as well as confirm and verify that MFA is properly set up and enforced. From there, what it will do is we'll load a list of clientele into Cloud Commander, and then what we'll be able to do is look at enabling them within the tool. To enable a client, we'll double click on Disabled here, click Enabled, and we'll bring them into the tool. Okay. What will happen then is they'll move to the Needs Approval stage. Here, where we'll be able to copy the approval link that Microsoft sends out to approve those GDAP permissions that are being pushed into the system. And on behalf of our end users, we'll be able to verify the creation of those of that GDAP connection. Once we've approved that, we'll go into the awaiting Microsoft, where we're setting up the GDAP connection and we're making sure we have the proper functionality, and we'll finalize in one of two stages, the issues found or approved stage. Issues found here is most commonly seen for indirect CSPs, those of us who buy our licensing through a third-party retailer or reseller like PAX 8. Okay, and pretty much what we're seeing here is to manage Azure, we'll need to make sure that we have the proper permissions within our accounts, as most of the resellers don't give the proper permissions to your admin agents within your partner center. So we'll come in, pull the object ID for your admin agents group. We'll take that object ID as well as your end user subscription ID and their domain, and we'll apply the proper permissions to be able to manage Azure through the partner center to that account, and you'll move into the approved status. From there, we'll begin to see our users populate within Cloud Commander for the clients that we have selected. So here, we'll just select a few of our clients, and you'll be able to run within the tool. All right, so the real meat of why we're here today, the point of the conversation is going to be security management within the tool. So for users themselves, we have a number of items that we can look at applying when it comes to access, as well as some security items. This one here, or this portion here, is a little bit light as compared to some of the rest of the security portions of the tool, but still powerful nonetheless. So we'll take a look at some groups and roles. We'll also, as we move forward in the presentation, take a look at user management in general. But specifically for users themselves, we have a number of places within the tool where we can look at affecting change on the permissions that those users have within the tool. So if I wanted to mess with, say, Aaron's permissions here, I can come click into the hyperlink for Aaron. Okay, and while we have a couple quick items like reset password, reset multi-factor authentication, more importantly here we have our groups. You will note for our groups, we have the ability to add both platform and M365 groups. Platform being items that are going to control the permissions within Cloud Commander, of course, M365 and security groups controlling what that user has permissions to do within Microsoft itself. So quick and easy access to get the end users into the specific groups. We also have nice, quick, and easy access for Microsoft Entra and platform roles. So say, for instance, I wanted to make sure that this end user had the proper roles applied to them that met, say, my least privileged access items, okay, or their role within their organization. I have the ability to do so here. While clicking groups or adding groups was pretty much select a group and click apply, the role here is going to be a little bit different. So let's say I want to give identity governance admin permissions to this Aaron person. I can come in, click next. I'll review the permissions that I'm giving and click confirm. I can limit quite heavily roles there. Now that solves some of our end users' permissions and groups items, but it doesn't quite solve everything. Well, underneath groups itself, I can come in, and for the clientele that I have selected in my dropdown, I can come and click Add New Group. Choose my group type. So here, let's say I want security. Come in, select the organization that I'm going to assign this to. So let's look at the real estate company here. We can come in and we will call this AAAA testing for BC. We'll enable our security group. We'll keep enable email off. We'll review our group details. We're naming it AAAA, so it shows up first within our list here, and we'll confirm. Click Done. And now we'll note I have my security group created here. Okay, I can select the group to edit or delete it, and I can click the hyperlink to come into the group itself. Okay, noted, editing a group compared to coming into the group itself, editing gives me the wizard I just went through, while clicking the hyperlink into the group itself gives me the ability to not only edit those details, but also come in and look at assigning members from the organization that I have chosen. So here we'll add everyone. Okay, and I can take a look at coming in and removing membership of those that may be needed here. Okay, as necessary. And then I can come in and I can look at adding my assignments, where I can come in and look at bringing in permissions both on the M365 as well as the platform side there, should my permissions within the tool, Cloud Commander, match up. So I can now start to create these least privileged access or these more security-minded access groups within Cloud Commander itself, both for the platform or for my Microsoft environment. Okay, so quick, easy management of our groups here as we would need within the tool. Now, for users themselves, that's not quite all that we have, and that does, and the rest of this will depend on licensing. Underneath the security section here, we have our risky users report. Again, it depends. You see these red boxes up at the top right-hand corner telling me that I pretty much don't have the licensing to do anything with users at that level. And we've got our ability to come in and look at blocking, unblocking, confirming as compromised for our risks, dismissing those risks, see resetting passwords for those end users. We'll get a nice overview of the risk itself. What's its state, what's its level, what's its status, any detail that may be necessary. So some nice ability to come in and look at interacting with our risky users. I'll also see an overarching multi-factor authentication section here, where I can come in and select users to revoke sessions or reset multi-factor, while filtering to say everybody that may have multi-factor authentication disabled. Okay, I can come in and take action as I would need. Please note, you will not see yourself in here. This is designed to be an end user management tool. We're not going to manage anything on your partner center's end. Okay. So some nice simple control of our end users. Now, security and Intune. Okay, we did see risky users and some actions there. We quickly went over MFA. We'll touch back on those a little bit later in the presentation. But inside the security and Intune section, what we want to focus on most here is going to be some password management, combining with our configuration profiles and our compliance policies. Okay, so we'll hop back over into the tool and we'll take a quick look here. Underneath Assets, okay, within the Intune section here, for those of us who are new, we'll pause and take, or older within the tool, we'll pause and take a look at some differences in the layout than what we've seen recently. The Intune section will still show our cloud PCs and our Intune devices. Okay, here we still have the ability to take actions on our Intune devices as we have in the past. Clicking into the device, of course, will give you all the good information that you need about this. Now, the Win365 section has come in and taken those cloud PCs from the Intune section into 365. Excuse me, I made a mistake a little bit earlier. Intune manages Intune devices only now. We lost cloud PCs there. Win365 takes over those cloud PCs, where we can click into a device, see our summary and our history of actions taken on that device, and then we can select that device in the dashboard to take any actions on it. Just some quick updates there, though, for some new items. More importantly, we're focused here. Configuration profiles and compliance policies. Now, individual user restrictions here are going to be pushed throughout these configuration profiles. So each of these is going to have something that, well, not each of these, but most of these are going to have something that we can touch on within the security world. As it stands today, this is a pretty clunky and pretty tedious method, because we cannot combine or create new profiles for ourselves within the tool. Coming up quickly within our development cycle, we'll be bringing in the ability to customize these templates. So maybe something that's going to focus on more user management in the configuration world, and then we'll have more device management within the configuration world. Okay, but as we parse through these, we'll notice we saw some device restrictions for App Store, which can definitely help with us. We're looking at Windows 10 templating for device restrictions to Windows 10 Team. We've got network proxying items in here. As we come through, we'll see some endpoint protection items. So hopping away from the user a little bit here and into the MS365 world. Okay, we'll also see shared multi-user device templates and their settings. Okay, and some good identity protection items as well. So to apply one of these, let's say I want to apply some shared multi-user device template items. I can come into the template to see if it's ever been applied here by clicking the hyperlink. This one hasn't. I can highlight that by clicking in the white space and come to Apply Profile. From here, I'll be brought into a wizard that will allow me to take action on an individual organization or customer within my tenant, or all of them, or some of them. So here we'll just go with the 9 selected. Noted this selection will reflect the customer dropdown that we saw our selections being chosen within the users section. So I'll click next. Then I'm going to get a nice little list of my organizations and whether or not I can take this action at that organization's or in that organization's environment. If there is a reason for failure, we'll give you that reason. Coming in to click next, we'll then look at setting our individual configuration items. Do I want to enable shared PC mode? What are the guest accounts? What are they going to be considered? Account management items, right? Account deletion, right? How are we going to look at maintaining these individual items here? We'll come in, we'll click next, and we'll click confirm to apply those settings. Now I'm not going to run this, because I don't want to mess with my admin's setup here. Okay, but we'll notice we've got a good amount of these in here again, where we can look at affecting some of these very basic security and permissions items. Okay. More importantly, well, not more importantly, but also underneath this particular heading, we'll note we have the compliance policy section. So while the configuration profiles tends to be a bit more sporadic in where we're going to see these settings as we're coming through the usage of the individual tool, the compliance policies here is going to be much more condensed. We're pulling again the Windows defaults of Windows 10 and 11 security. Okay, again, no customization here, but again, that's coming. And if we come into our policy here, we'll see when it's been applied, who's done what, when, and where. And then if we highlight, clicking the white space again, we can come to apply policy. Now there's a number of items inside here as we move through the first two steps of our wizard that are the same, that are going to look around user security, as well as device security for that matter. We can come in, we can require BitLocker, require code integrity or secure boot if necessary. We can control our OS minimum and maximum versions. We can require device compliance from the configuration manager. And quite nicely here, very, very quickly for our selected organizations, can we hit our password system security? I come in, block simple passwords, enter in what password type I'd like to have, password complexity, we'll choose 4 items, minimum password length, let's say 12 characters here, minimum minutes of inactivity before password is required, password expiration, number of passwords before we preventing reuse, right? And then require password when devices return from an idle state. We've got our encryption items in here. Require active firewall, require TPM, require antivirus and anti-spyware if necessary. Of course, require encryption of data storage, probably want that on. We have some Windows Defender items in here. Now, maybe not items that we're going to be utilizing quite often because it's Windows Defender, but they're at least here because they're in the Microsoft world. Both our compliance and configuration policies and profiles will have the assignment section down here at the bottom to apply to all users or all devices. Please make sure we're clicking one of these items here, or one or both, okay, because if we look at leaving these unselected, we can run this policy or profile against our tenants and nothing's going to happen. So if I keep these unchecked and I look at all of my nice work to get my parameters here set properly, I click confirm, nothing's going to happen. So again, I'll exit just to make sure I'm not messing with any admin items. So within the Intune world, as well as the individual user world, some nice general overarching things that we can look at controlling within the security world. Now, while we have those items in there, that brings us to reporting. What can we look at doing within the tool? But before we jump into the reporting section, we want to take a quick pause. We want to talk about some additional capabilities within the tool above and beyond what we're seeing there. Okay, and not to dive down this rabbit hole because this isn't quite something that we want to jump down to in today's session. We have a whole boot camp of Power Automate and Cloud Commander. but I'd be remiss if we didn't look at discussing the Power Automate part of the world. Okay. Cloud Commander does connect with Power Automate. This allows us to set up things like configuration drift. This allows us to set up things like more automated processes when controlling security. But what it also allows us to do is start taking more steps to the automatic remediation of those things like configuration drift, as well as adding some of these security-centric steps to our onboarding and offboarding motion as we're going through. So within Cloud Commander, we can start looking at creating automated items like when a risky user is added to Cloud Commander, pull these logs, pull these reports, pull this information, put it into a, say, SharePoint or Excel or Word doc for quicker research. We can get that information. We can also look at finding out who may be our biggest offenders when it comes to configuration drift, right? Power Automate starts to open up that world of automation and automatic remediation in the security world a whole lot. And there's definitely a good amount that we can do in there. So please do take a look at the Power Automate connector, or take a look at the Power Automate bootcamp to get more information there. All right, so reporting. We've already seen a couple of these sections, okay, but we haven't quite gone over them within the tool. And the general rule of thumb is that we have tables within our tool set. Okay, excuse me there, folks. Looks like I had some audio issues, but we're back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, so tables within Cloud Commander. We've seen lists of these both for users, we've seen our Intune devices, we come into our configuration policies and profiles, and we click in to our templates here. Okay, every table that we see like this is going to be exportable. Okay, right here in the top right hand corner, we can export data to Excel or selected rows to Excel. Okay, so I can quickly come in, customize columns, and export this data as necessary. I can also affect some viewing of our tables. So a general rule of thumb within the tool is this: if it's a table, it can be exported, point blank. All right, so reporting becomes very flexible as we're moving within the tool, because almost all of the information within the tool is able to be exported. Okay. Goes for risky users, goes for authentication methods, goes for any of our command logs that we see. Okay. And then last but not least, we're going to have our reports section down here on the left-hand side. The command log here is going to be global. This is everything that's done within the tool. Okay, we'll note that users have their own individual command logs. Devices underneath Azure and Intune, as well as our configuration and compliance items, have their own command logs. This is going to roll up everything into one nice, neat little bow and give us the ability to utilize all of those command logs in a report. Now, one thing to take note of here is as we look at this control action that Carlito took on the 4th of this month, all of these kicked off at 4:29 p.m. on the 4th, all from the same user. We get an individual log per client if we are adding an action to multiple clientele. Okay, so please note, when we apply a configuration profile to all 9 of the clients inside my environment, I get a command log entry for each one of those individual clients. So reporting becomes quite granular. We will see a Microsoft Secure Score report in here that is filterable by date range and client themselves. It's a Power BI based report. It's a nice general overview of our security. I can come in to filter by organization as I would need, and I can then filter my time frame as I would need here as well, to make sure that I'm pulling appropriate information. Okay, if I come in to select score, secure score overview, I can click to see details as to why they may not be receiving the highest secure score. If we need more information on the individual items that go into generating a secure score, there's a list within the Microsoft documentation. Each one of them is applied a percentage, and it comes out of a number of points. So I believe it's something like 1150 is the most points that you could possibly have on E5 licensing. Every item within that overview is given an individual set of points and a score, and then of course they add up that score and take it out of the 1150, or figure out the percentage based off of that 1150. Okay. And we can filter by category here, as well as status. The second report we have here, Power BI based, a little bit more loosely tied to security, but something we may want to be keeping our eyes on, is going to be our license availability report. So let's come down. We'll pick on Asgardian here again. Okay, I can see total unassigned and assigned licenses here within my individual products. So if I wanted to come and check on some of my licensing that may revolve around my security programs, I have some quick and easy reporting that I can access within this tool as well. So some nice reporting items that we get around the security world within the Cloud Commander tool. Okay. We are going to be building out some much more robust items as we continue to go through the development of the tool, like some of the items we talked about today, where we're going to be seeing configuration and compliance item customization being brought into the tool. We're also going to see some more least privileged access items being brought into the tool over the upcoming months and quarters. So please do keep an eye out there, as that security footprint is going to be getting a whole lot larger. Right, I don't see any questions inside the questions pane, so I'd like to say thank you so much for attending today. It is quite nice to be giving these sessions. You'll have to excuse some of the jerkiness in today's presentation. I'm on a very small screen today, down in Florida, as I'm on vacation, and I am juggling boot camp and having 2 munchkins run around the apartment as we are getting ready to go to Disney World. And real quick, I do have one question about platform configurations: SharePoint, Outlook, Exchange, OneDrive. That's a really good question. There are some of those items within PowerPoint or Power Automate today we can access, though they don't actually quite go through Cloud Commander. They go through Power Automate itself. The Cloud Commander connector, of course, being used to take actions within Cloud Commander. So we can affect some change there within Power Automate. I say we, I mean the Microsoft world, not Cloud Commander. Bringing those items into Cloud Commander will come in with least privileged access, as far as I know, but bringing those in as a more holistic item is something that we're discussing. We just don't have any time frames on that yet, so I wouldn't be able to give you anything solid there, unfortunately. So I know that's a very vague answer there, but it's the best I've got at this point in time. Okay, if we need more information or we want to delve into that a little bit deeper with, say, PM, you're more than welcome to shoot me an email, joseph.ferla, that's F-E-R-L-A, @enable.com, and I'd be happy to be the middleman, and we can learn together. Or if PM has some available time, I'd love to set up a meeting with PM to kind of go over some of that stuff. All right, we'll see if we have any more questions coming in. It does not look like it. So we'll go ahead, folks, say again, thank you so much today for joining. It's been a pleasure. If you do need to reach out to me, my email is always available, and we look forward to seeing you folks in any subsequent boot camps or office hours we have. Bye-bye.